sessions of ours. So a big thank you to all the participants and to Alvin. So today we have Mr. Mohammad Vakil, who is a leader in food safety management system, having more than 15 plus years of rich experience in FSMS implementation and auditing. Today's topic is going to be ISO 22018 Food Safety Management System. What is new? Mr. Vakil is currently a senior auditor and reviewer, and at the same time imparting trainings also. Now, today's key points that are going to be discussed are benefits of implementing a food safety management system, the broad difference between the earlier version of 2005 and the latest one 2018 of FSMS. What are the key changes? What is the difference between HACCP plan versus the hazard control plan? So briefly talking about, we started the journey with information technology. We moved to continuity risk management, and finally we have come to now the health hazard which we are facing, because health is wealth. And Mr. Vakil, being an expert into this food safety management system, definitely he is going to share his knowledge, views as to how we can keep our food safety at priority, because this is a priority subject. And maybe since he is an expert in FSMS food safety management system, this food has to be to his best way of living, so we can ask his guidance even for some recipes if we like. Won't be taking much of time, and while thanking all of you who have joined and Alvin Integrated Service, I would request Mr. Vakil to kindly come over and share his presentation knowledge. In between also, if time permits and if the discussion permits, as per the convenience of participants and Mr. Vakil, we can take up some immediate questions also in between, but actual question answer session will happen towards the end of the program. So over to you, Mr. Vakil. Please unmute yourself, Mr. Vakil.
Okay. Thanks for Alvin Company for these efforts, and thanks for the participant. Really appreciate these efforts along more than 1 month to arrange this meeting and this webinar. Today we will talk about the food safety management system based on ISO 22000 2018. What's new? I will not go deeply inside the standard, but just I will give some points, maybe lighting in your minds about what's mentioned in the new standard. Let's start the presentation. I hope the voice is clear. Do you have any complaint regarding the voice, or I can start?
Yeah, your voice is clear, audible. You can start, please.
Okay. So now we will start with ISO 2028 Food Safety Management System. What is new? The first, we can talk about the difference between ISO 22000, the old version, and the new version, which is 2018. As you know, all the new standards are arranged or prepared based on the high-level structure, which is consisted of 10 clauses. The clauses are totally are the same for different standards. So you can find the first clause now. Sorry, clause number 4 in any standard is talk about the management context, and the clause number 5 is talk about leadership and so on. So the ISO 20000:2018, the new standard is following the high-level structure of the ISO standards. So now you can easily conduct integration with the other ISO system you can implement in the facility. So if you have different ISO standard like this 14,000, 9,001, and 22,000 and 45,000, so it's easy for the facility to implement or to integrate the food safety management system on the facility. In ISO 20000, the old version, you can find 4 key elements, which are PRBs, HACCP, interactive communication, and system management. Now, we have a lot of key elements added to the standard by this new standard, which is customer focus, leadership, process approach, engagement of people, evidence-based decision-making, relationship management, and finally, improvement. We can find a lot of changes in 20000 based on the high-level structure. These changes are business context and interested parts, which you can find it in clause number 4.1 and 4.2. Strengthen on leadership and management commitment, you can find it in clause number 5.1. Risk management based thinking, which you can find it in clause number 6.1. Focus more on the objectives as improvement driver, which can present or you can find it in 6.2 and 9.1. Extend communication requirements, which are documented in clause number 7.4, and strict requirement for food safety management system documentation, which is clear in clause number 7.5. As you know, the ISO 20000 standard it is follow BDCA cycle, and you can find here in the food safety management system, you can find 2 BDCA cycle. The first one is related to the food safety management system, and the second BDCA cycle is related to the HACCP study, as you can find in the presentation. When you follow the standard and the clause number in the clauses mentioned in clause number 8, you can find that it follow the BDCA cycle. For example, you can find the plan. It's covered in clauses talk about PRPs, traceability, emergency, hazard analysis, validation of control measures combination, hazard control plan, CCPs and OPRPs, and verification planning. And you can find it's covered in implementation of the food safety plan, control of monitoring and measuring, control of product and process non-conformities, check, which is covered in monitoring and verification activities, analysis of result of verification activities, act, which is covered in updating of preliminary information for PRBs and hazard control plan. The standard is 22000, ask the implementer to do the following: to identify the context of the organization, planning, to provide resources, to conduct operational planning, to go through performance evaluation and continual improvement. And actually, the driver for all this is the leadership. So I think that clause number 5, which is talk about leadership, is the driver to go through this standard and to achieve the requirement of this standard. Let's first talk about the food safety management system risk assessment. When you go to the standard, you can find the standard ask you first to understanding the organization and its context. And in this clause, he's talk about external issues and internal issues that can affect the food safety management system. External issues may be legal issue, competitions, technological, cultural, social, food fraud, or food defense. Also, the internal issues may be organizational knowledge, may be competency, may be cybersecurity, social technology, food fraud also, or food defense. So the facility is requested to document all the internal or external issues that can affecting the food safety management system. And at this point, you should be care about the issues. These issues is a part or away from the hazards related to the HACCP study. This means that all the hazards related to the HACCP and HACCP study cannot be part of this internal or external issue. That because all these hazards are discussed in the HACCP study by identification, by hazard analysis and hazard evaluation, and by adding the control measure to prevent or eliminate it or reduce it to an acceptable level. So in the organizational context, no need to add the hazards related to the food safety mentioned in the HACCP study. Also, for food safety management system risk assessment, you can find the clause number 4.2, which asks about mention that the facility shall mention the needs and the expectations of the interested parties. And as you see in the presentation, interested parties may be internal or external parties. May be internal interested parties like the owners, shareholders, and so on. Also, the employees considered as internal interested parties. External interested parties like shareholders, contractors, legal authorities, suppliers, unions, and consumer and customers. So, what is the food safety management system scope? This is part from the food safety management system risk assessment. This management system, what this management system cover? So the standard asks the implementer to determine the product or service covered by this management system. What are the main process and main production sites? Okay, and this all shall be kept as a documented information. This is clause number 4. So then go to the clause number 6.1, which asks about action to address risks and opportunities. And in this clause, he mentioned that remember what you are doing in clause number 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. 4.1 is talk about organization context. You already, the implementer already document all the internal and external issues that can affect the food safety management system. In clause number 4.2, the facility document all the interested parties, what are the needs and expectations of these interested parties. And in clause number 4.3, the facility document the food safety management system scope. So you should go through these clauses and assess the actions needed to cover the internal and external issue affecting the food safety management system. These internal and external issues, may be in the form of risks or opportunities. So the facility now is requested to assess all the risks, what are significant, and all the opportunity, what are significant opportunities for the facility to take action, and then evaluate after taking action what's happened regarding to this issue. So this is the food safety management system risk assessment. And action taken in this related to risks and opportunities can be added in our objective planning in the facility. So for objectives, you should remember that the objective shall be SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bounded. So the actions taken from 6.1 can be taken as objectives, and these objectives, as required in clause 6.2, shall be documented and shall be followed through achievement action plan. For example, you can mention the tasks, resources needed for to achieve these tasks and objectives: responsibility, time frame, follow-up activities, responsible for follow-up, and the final evaluation for achievement of these tasks and objectives. During your food safety management system risk assessment, planning, and implementation of actions, you may need to do changes to the standard. Ask here that any changes shall be conducted through a planned manner. Through a planned manner, this means to identify what are the changes needed, what are the purpose from these changes, what are the potential consequences regarding to these changes, ensure the food safety management system integrity after implementation of these changes. If it's okay, what are the resources needed to achieve these changes, and if there is any personal reallocation or allocation required for this change. So any change regarding the food safety management system or food safety management system risk assessment shall be conducted through a planning of changes procedure established in the facility. So this is the first major change happened in the ISO 22000 2018. The second one, we are talking about hazard control plan, CCP, FAS, OPRP. As you know, any food safety management system standard, you can find that the HACCP or hazard analysis critical control point is the main core of any food safety management system. So when we go through ISO 22000, you can find in the new version 2018, HACCP is covered in clause number 8. There are some changes from ISO 22000 old version and ISO 22000 2018. What these changes? The main changes is related to CCPs and OPRP. As you know, in the older version, CCP have a critical limit. However, CCP does not have, however, OPRP not have any critical limit. In the new standard, you can find that OPRP covered by what's called action criteria. Action criteria, what are the difference between action criteria and the critical limit? Critical limit shall be measurable. However, action criteria may be measurable and or observable. But what's clear now in the standard that CCP, which is critical control point, and OPRP, operational prerequisites program, they both are controlling the identified or the assessed significant hazards related to the food safety, which is clear now in the new version of the standard. Okay. Also, in the standard, if there is any deviation from the critical limit or action criteria, what the facility should do, the following. First one, avoid release of potentially unsafe product. This is the first action should be done. The second point, take prompt action correction to return process under control. Then determine root cause and take corrective action. The fourth action is to ensure recurrence is prevented, recurrence of this non-conformity or this deviation. So now, in case of deviation from the critical limit or action criteria, the facility should be aware or should cover or should care about 4 things. The first one, what about the affected product? How we can control the affected product to prevent any improper release for this product. Then what are the correction that can take in to return the process under control? And then the facility and the facility team should think about the root cause of this deviation and take the proper corrective action and ensure that the occurrence of this deviation cannot be occur again. CCP and OPRP monitoring data. shall be evaluated by designated person and the authorities to take correction and corrective action in case of deviation, as we mentioned in the previous slide. When the critical limit or action criteria are not met, the documented information shall cover the following for the both identification of the case, assessment of the case, what are the correction, what are the review of the corrections carried out to ensure that the process recurrent under control. Now, you can find that in case of critical limit deviation and in case of action criteria deviation, there is a difference between 2000 old version and the new version 2018. What this difference? The first, if you remember, in the old version, clause number 7.10.3.1, as I remember, these clauses cover the evaluation for release. And this clause in the older version mentioned that in case of any deviation in critical limit or OBRP, you can conduct evaluation for release. However, in the new standard, it's now not acceptable. Why? Because in the new standard, in the new version, he mentioned that in case of deviation from action criteria or when the OBRP are not met, action criteria for OBRP are not met, you can determine the failure of consequence, you can determine the cause rows of failure, okay? And you can evaluate the affected product for release. However, in case of the deviation for critical limit, it's not acceptable, and this will be clear in the following slides. As you see, action criteria at OBRPs are not met, okay? So you can evaluation for release. And the standard mention 3 options or 3 things that you can follow to go through release of the product. Otherwise, this product shall be handled in according to the clause number 8.9.4.3, which talk about handling of non-conforming products. Okay, so you have the choice here with OBRP to go through evaluation for release. But in case of CCB, if the critical limit at CCB are not met, you should go directly to the disposition of non-conforming product. So the option for evaluation for release is not accepted now in case of deviation for critical limit for CCB. So OBRP, you can go through evaluation for release. If you cannot release it, so you can go to disposition of non-conforming product. In case of CCB, there is no option to go to evaluation for release, so you should go directly to the disposition of non-conforming product. In case of non-conforming product, there is 3 options to deal with this affected product. The first one is reprocessing or further processing within or outside the organization or the facility, redirected for other use as long as food safety in the food chain is not affected, okay? Otherwise, destroying or dispose of the product, the affected product as a waste. So this is the 3 options accepted in case of critical limit are not met, or the evaluation for release were not able to be conducted for deviation in OBRP. And this is the main change we can find in the hazard control plan in 2018. The third one, which I think is maybe more clear in the new standard, what is food safety, what's called food safety culture. It's not mentioned in the standard as a clause or by this like this, but I think if you go through the standard, you can find a lot of things that can take you to what's called food safety culture. For example, when you read the standard, you can find that this word, the organization shall, mentioned in the standard about 160 times, more than 160 times. So you can go to a lot of clauses. You can find the clause mention the organization shall. For example, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5. Most of clauses in clause, most of subclauses in clause number 8, 10.1, 10.2, 9.1, 9.2. All these clauses mention the organization shall. What this mean? This means that all the organization member shall participate in establishing, implementing, evaluating, and assessing the food safety management system, as I know. Also, the clause number 7.3, which is talk about awareness. I think this can take us to what's called food safety culture. You can find in this clause, it's mentioned in this clause that personnel working under the organization control. What this mean? This means that all the staff and those which are working as contractors at the facility shall be aware by the following: by the policy of the facility, by the objectives related to their tasks, by their individual contribution effectiveness on the food safety management system, also by the non-conforming implication. What's happened if they are not conform with the requirement inside the facility? What are the implications will be happen? I think also this clause take us to what's called food safety culture. The same, to achieve the awareness, this can be implemented through initial job orientation, by induction, by job description, by active two-way communication, share achieving objectives. All of this point can be covered this clause which talk about awareness, and a lot of this a lot of other actions can be also done for cover this clause. Also, you can find in clause number 5.3.3, which is talk about reporting system. In this clause, he mentioned that all persons, I think this can cover those persons are working in the facility, and those persons that are working in the facility or under control of the facility, for contractors or suppliers or any other interested parties. All the persons have the responsibility to what? To reporting problems to identified person or persons. So also this point, can take us to the what's called food safety culture. That's because if you want to achieve this point, so all the persons inside the facilities or working under the control of the facility shall be aware by all food safety related issue, shall be aware by food safety hazard, shall be aware by the controls needed to achieve the food safety requirement in the facility. So what this means? This means that all persons shall have a food safety or sufficient food safety knowledge and sufficient food safety culture. So As mentioned in the standard, all persons shall be involved in reporting any breach or suspicious non-conformance, and this required a lot of efforts on the food safety awareness and creating food safety culture to be compatible with this requirement. Thank you. This is our presentation today. It's take about 30 minutes. I'm trying to highlighting the more key changes in the standard. Really, if you go to the standard, you can find a lot of things that are new if comparing with the old version, but there is no time to mention all the points, so I try to press on just these 3 points. I hope that you are enjoyed the presentation, and I'm ready if you have any question.
Yeah, I think it was a good knowledge shared by you. Thank you so much for the presentation. Hope the participants have also gained insights. Before I move on to request the participants to come up with their questions, they can, once I finish, they can unmute one by one and then probably ask the question directly so that Mr. Vakil can respond it back. And one thing which I am saying is, Mr. Vakil, this old version or the new version or the kind of controls in food safety. Now, whether it's a entity providing the food processing industry point of view, or from the serving point of view, or maybe a third party contractor.
No, no.
In today's time, when we say, so I have a small basically trigger. Food safety in times of COVID-19, we were not allowed to eat outside. We are not allowed to take, like, there are so many serving platform, delivery platform, Zomato or Swiggy or Uber Eat or so many others are there. And when we had this outbreak of COVID in March and April, towards that period, say Feb, March, April, there were cases being reported, and then this Swiggy started, and maybe Zomato started delivering, and these people are getting infected, and there was a whole lot of hue and cry here and there, and then wearing this and wearing those and those things. So it actually it affected the food and beverage industry as a whole,
Yeah.
which is a part of the tourism. So
Yeah.
ultimately, food safety is not only related to our health, it is related to the promotion of tourism. It is directly proportionate to the economy, because it is directly proportional to the agriculture, because this food is based out of agriculture only. So what is your take on this? If I want to ask you, what is your take, right from food safety in times of COVID-19 to its effect on F&B industry, to its effect ultimately on the tourism industry and economy as a whole?
Okay. Let's go. Let's say that COVID-19 affecting all the countries, as we know, affecting a lot the economy on all countries. But if we talk about ISO 22000, how this standard cover this issue, if you go to the standard ISO 22000, you can find clause talk about, I think it's clause number 8.2, as I remember. It's talk about emergency preparedness and response. This clause, the standard asks you that all the potential emergency situations that can affecting the food safety and the food safety management system shall be covered in your standard by action plan. So if we can, if we go to the standard, and if we understand the standard well, so now we should add COVID-19 as one of the potential emergency cases that can happen and that can affect the facility and the operation in the facility. So each facility now are requested to add their controls needed to maintain the health of their staff and also to maintain the food safety or the food safety of the product are produced by this facility. So it's already covered in ISO 22000, but just need us to read and understand the standard well, and how to make this standard as a live organism. So it's very, very important to read it and understand it well. You can find a lot and a lot and a lot in this standard.
Yeah, thank you so much. So basically, it is from a two-way sword point of view. One is that not only from the point of view of maintaining the quality, but from the point of view of maintaining the operations also of the entity.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I think we have Roy Bahala to ask something. Maybe you can ask the question, Roy. You wrote something. Shall we take it from there, or you want to ask yourself?
Good evening.
Good evening, Joy.
My question is, do you have a method, the simplest and acceptable method for vulnerability assessment in regards to food fraud and threat assessment in regards to food defense?
Okay. You finish?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, when I talk about, I think this also need another, maybe more than one webinar to talk about it, but let's talk in brief. There is a big difference between HACCP and food defense and food fraud. What are the difference? HACCP is covering what's called potential hazard, okay? However, food defense and food fraud, it's cover that the potential hazard. In other words, we can say that HACCP is cover what's called non-intentional adulteration, and food defense and food fraud is cover the intentional adulteration. So there is difference, or a big difference, between food defense and food fraud. When you think about food defense and food fraud, you should think about what's called intentional adulteration. And this intentional adulteration may be happen by adding threat or conducting threat affecting the food safety. And in this case, it's covered by what's called food defense plan. But if this intentional adulteration is done to is derived by economically motivated derived. So now we are talking about food fraud. The tool to assess HACCP related food safety hazard, I think is totally different from the tool used to identify and assessing the threats or hazard related to the food defense and food fraud. This need a long time to discuss. I hope we can have another webinars to discuss it more.
Yeah, definitely. We would love to have that. And I think it was a good explanation. And I think we have Mr. Saibal Gupta joined. He has been joining our webinars. He has some question. So would you like to ask Saibalji your question yourself, or shall I read it out for you? Mr. Saibal?
Yes, you can ask on behalf of me. I have written the question in chat box.
I know. So thank you, Mr. Saibal. The question from Mr. Saibal Gupta is how to implement. Yeah, it is very important actually. We are fond of street food and eating here and there, eating joints or maybe something like that. So his question is how to implement HACCP study in street food organized sector with multiple types of foods.
You need me to answer this question in this webinar. I think it's
maybe a brief touch up, and then we can have the a la carte in the next.
Okay. So now we want to control or to implement HACCP in food street in India or in Egypt?
Yeah. Any corner of the globe, it is a general question. You can tell me about India or about Egypt also.
Okay. Let's say
The type is similar. The scenario of the Egypt street food and Indian street food, the type is similar.
Okay. Let's
so
say
two things remain common. So two things remain common. Sorry to say, two things are common, whether it is Egypt or India or US or UK, street and the food. So from whichever point of
Yeah.
view,
so please answer whichever point of view you feel like.
Okay. Let's say also in brief that the problem for food street these foods are consumed in the street. It's a big issue. The problem here is not how to implement the HACCP study or HACCP principles on this on these types of food, but the main problem here, or the main issue we can talk about here, is the legal requirement. For each country, there is a legal requirement to handling food and to prepare food. So if the country have a good or more stringent regulation, this mainly can affect the method of handling food in the street. So this is the first issue or the big issue we can talk about. The second issue, it's related to the hazard of this food. As you know, the hazard can reach the food from three sources, which are maybe the surrounding environment, maybe this hazard is coming from the raw material, or this hazard maybe comes from the process itself. Really, what I find in the food in the streets, that it's mainly affected by environmental hazards. What this mean? We are talking about the cleaning, the disinfection, the pest control, the personal hygiene, all of these issues. It's not covered in most of this type of business in different countries. But if there is restricted or regulations covering this issue, I think a lot of problems relating to this type of food can be solved. After this, we can talk about how this business can go through HACCP implementation and can go through food safety management system implementation. So the first two things we can talk about before HACCP study or HACCP implementation in this type of business is strict regulations. The second point, how to control all the environmental hazards that can affecting this type of business. That's what I can say in this point now, but this is also a big issue. You should have a lot of webinars and a lot of meetings to cover this point.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it was a very good explanation, and this itself is an industry issue, because the street food itself is an industry. Sabalji. So, Mr. Sabal, I think he has answered that, and I hope you are happy. We have Aniruddha Gopinath.
Yes.
Welcome, Aniruddha. I'll ask question on your behalf, since you mentioned that. So, Mr. Vakil, what he's asking is, what is the importance of, because he comes from an information security background, I believe so, because the question which he is asking is, what is the importance of data or information security in food safety? Can you talk about any instance in your experience where information was breached?
Sorry, what is the question again?
Yeah, question is, what is the importance of data or information security in food safety?
Yeah.
Can you talk about any instance of breach of this?
Regarding to information security in food safety, this point is covered in clause number 7.5, which is talk about documented information. As you know, there is a lot of documentation required by the facility as an evidence for implementation, and also a lot of procedures are documented to mention how to conduct this process or go through this issue. All this type of document should be maintained and should be controlled. Maybe this documentation found in the facility in as a software. So this software should be controlled to prevent any breaching, to maintain the integrity of the data written in this document. So in this clause, we should talk about the information security. Also, from other side, in case of food defense, type of threat that can affect the facility is the anyone go through the system of the facility and take the information or thieve the information from the facility. So the facility should have a control measures that prevent any unacceptable entrance to the information of the facility. So this also go through the information security. So I think it's covered well in the standard in clause number 7.5 and in food defense, which is mentioned as a part of the organization context clause number 4.1, and the actions to address risks and opportunities clause number 6.1.
Thank you so much. I hope, Anirudh, it answers your question for the time being. We have Prakash Purohit. Prakash, you want to ask yourself, or shall I read it out? Okay, what Prakash is saying is the implementation of FSMS is necessary in industries, and are they following this, and if yes, what are the legal requirements? If I'm not wrong, the question is basically, is implementation of FSMS is necessary in industry other than the food industries, the big corporate, big industry where they provide in-house facility of food, catering and everything. Am I correct, Prakash? Yeah, I think this is the intention of asking.
Okay. Yeah, I think the food safety management system is very, very necessary to be implemented in the food safety industry. Any food safety management system, ISO 20000, PRC, FSSC, IFS, it's very, very important to maintain the integrity of the system implemented in the facility. Also to be sure or to ensure the safety of the product which is consumed by your customers and consumers. So I think it's very, very important to be implemented, and there is a lot of benefits that the facility can gain from implementing this system in the facility. So it's very important. Regarding to the legal requirements, it's differ from country to country. So in Egypt, there is a legal requirement. The facilities working in food industry shall be covered. I think it's differ from those legal requirements required in India, in UK, in any other country. There is a different legal requirement. So I think you should go to the your legal authorities in India or the country from where you are to search for the legal requirement required by the country to be implemented in the food facility.
Hope that answers, Prakash, your question. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Vakil. Anybody else wants to ask any question? Please feel free. We have a couple of more minutes, maybe 7-8 minutes more. We can ask some questions.
Yes. Of that biscuits. how many critical control points to be taken care of?
I'm sorry, I have a problem with the internet, so please repeat the question.
Yes, thank you very much. I wanted to ask Mr. Vakil, and that in a bakery industry,
Yeah,
they are manufacturing and as well as packing the bakery product. So, how many critical control point is to be taken care of with the manufacturing of bakery product and as well as packaging of bakery products?
okay. Let's say that there is no standard for number of CCBs or OPRBs required by the bakery. It's all based on your risk assessment in the facility. Again, as you know, that all hazards related to the raw materials and hazards related to the process shall be discussed in your hazard study or in your hazard analysis for different process. And according to your assessment, which based on your evaluation for the food safety related hazard by determine the likelihood and severity for each hazard. This assessment can give you a picture what are the controls needed and what are the if you need any additional controls to control this hazard or not. So it's all based on your risk assessment. So there is no standard for number of CCB or OPRB required by the facility. And this what are facing or challenging during the audit. When we go to different facilities that are working in the same scope, which is bakery product, you can find that the CCBs and OPRBs are different from facility to another. But let's say that the most important hazard that can be included in your assessment in the bakery product, which is the physical contamination related to the metal parts or metal contamination to the product before releasing to the market. Also, you can talk about the chemical hazard, which is talk about pesticide residues, aflatoxins or mycotoxins in the raw materials. It's also very, very important to be included in your hazard identification in your hazard study. And based on your assessment, are there any significant hazard or not? And what are the weight for this hazard? You can consider if you need for additional control to be added as a CCB or OPRB or not. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah. And may I correlated one more question to you, sir, if the time permits?
Yeah, quickly you can say that we can still move on for
So,
5-7 minutes. Yeah.
okay, and I'm quickly
Please.
this hazard identification, the invisible bacteria in the weather, in the vicinity of the manufacturing process area, is to be taken care of or not. The bacteria cannot be visible in the air. Whether how to take the risk assessment of the invisible bacteria in the manufacturing area
Okay.
of the industry.
Really, I thank you for this good question. You are talking about a critical issue in different food facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may be this point is not properly covered in ISO 20000, but if you go through any GFSI standard, like PRC or FSSC or IFS and so on, you can find what's called environmental monitoring program. In this environmental monitoring program, the standards ask to conduct swabs and take analysis for any pathogens that are potentially can occur in the surrounding environment to the processing area. And after conducting this analysis, you should before identify what are the acceptable limits, and if the analysis declare that you have pathogens or microorganisms excess the acceptable limit, the facility shall take action. These actions may include re-cleaning, re-disinfections, and re-swabbing more than times to ensure that the facility are free from these pathogens. The more important pathogens, but also you should know that it's differ from a facility to another, or from the scope of the facility to another. The more important pathogens you can talk about in the environmental monitoring program is the salmonella and listeria. Add to this any other implicated microorganisms or any pathogenic microorganism you want to add. Also, you can use indicator microorganism as an evidence of well cleaning for the surrounding environment to the facility. That is what's called environmental monitoring program, and this can be covered it's clearly covered in the GFSI standards like PRC, FSSC, and IFS, and so on. But also we should remember that in ISO 20000 you have already what's called verification planning, and apart from our verification planning is what's called swabbing plan. In this swabbing plan, you cover all direct contact surface, the food handlers, the product, all these covered in your swabbing plan to ensure that all direct contact surface and the raw materials are free from microorganisms that can affect the food safety of the product.
Thank you, Mr. Vakil. I think Saivalji, I think you are happy with that.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Okay,
sir. Thank
okay. I think we can take 2-3 more questions. Meantime, before we take any question, I think we have Jaya Khanduriji with us. Jaya ji, you are hearing me? Jaya Khanduriji, you are able to hear me? Okay, maybe there's some problem. I think Sudhakar have some question. Okay, that is not from you, that is from Alvin. Yes, definitely you will. Hello, are you able to hear me? Anyone has any question now? So I believe there is no question. So we move on to summing up the session. So I would request one or two participants who are there today to say a few words basically. And we have Diksha. Are you still there? Diksha? Or maybe we can request Benny.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, Diksha here.
Yeah, Diksha, I thank you so much. You have been patient enough listening to this conversation going on. So being a participant, I mean, who better than a female can tell about food, while Mr. Vakil has been telling us about the food safety. But
Right.
it has to come from you. 2-3 lines or maybe something from you about this session, and anything you want to ask or say, you want to contribute. So please feel free to say, Diksha. Over to you,
Yeah,
Diksha.
definitely. Yeah, so thank you so much, sir, for all the insights which you have provided in today's session. I think in today's world, which we are facing the pandemic things and all, the food is a major aspect in the terms of safety, and how you related it with ISO, ISO standards, and how it is to be put forward in a competitive world with answering to the queries of people who were already working in that domain has led us to gain a lot of information and insights. So I would really thank you for the amazing session which was provided.
Thank you, Diksha. We
Thank you, Diksha.
look forward
Yeah,
to meeting you again and again on our sessions.
definitely.
And
Definitely.
may I request Mr. Mohammad Janeni, are you able to hear me? Mr. Mohammad Janeni?
It's not me.
No, it's not you, actually, definitely. When we say Mr. Mohammad Vakil, in India we call Vakil as lawyer,
Yeah, yeah.
You may be aware of that. So basically, it's a participative show. I would request Lofty to say a few words about this. Are you able to hear me, Lofty?
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Loganathan or Lofty?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Thank you for this session. It's a pleasure for me to practice and to hear some information about this ISO. And this is for me is the second time that I participate with you in this kind of seminar. I am very happy to attend this type of seminar, and it's very interesting information that I can hear about. Thank you very much for this kind of.
Thanks to you. Yeah, thanks to you, Lofty. You have been joining us, and I think that is what makes us move forward in a much more confident and other ways, like to bring in more and more speakers like Mr. Vakil, and then today again we have Mr. Sanjay Gore. Mr. Gore, are you able to hear us? Are you there, Mr. Sanjay Gore? Maybe 2-3 more lines from Sarang. Are you able to hear?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Sanjay.
Yeah, Sanjay ji, your very brief views about the session today.
Actually, I would like to.
Yeah, you come from information security. So the journey which we began from information security moved on to continuity and resilience, and then risk, and then now to health and safety. So your few words.
I'm very happy to be part of this session actually, and I can proudly say this Alvin has started this, and it was me first person to start with these webinars. Today's session was very good. Actually, it is, as Sambos was telling, it was directly related to the food, and food is very, very important for anybody. It is not necessary for you to be in information security or risk or governance. Everybody, food is required. And speaker, Mr. Vakil, has given a very nice introduction to the subject, though it is not that. So thank you very much for Mr. Vakil. Thank you very much for this organizing this Alvin Integrated Services. And this Alvin is doing very good job. And today also there are more than 45 participants. So I wish you all the best and congratulate Mr. Vakil to be part of our team.
Yeah, we are a team. We are able to work because you people are.
Pleasure for me. It's pleasure for me, my friend.
It is pleasure. It is a win-win situation. Actually, everybody is happy. That's my few words.
Yeah, thank you so much. Final 1 or 2 lines from Mr. Assam Alashwal. Are you able to hear me, Mr. Assam?
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam.
First of all, I'd like to thank Alvin for these great sessions. Really, I'm very happy to attend like this session, especially today's session. I'm not specialized in food, but I enjoyed Mr. Vakil's session. By the way, he's Egyptian like me. I'm Egyptian, but I'm based in UAE, and I would like to thank Alvin and everyone do this session, and especially Mr. Wakil. And I hope to continue, inshallah, with you. It's a great series, really. Thank you again for everyone.
Yeah, thank you. As you rightly said that
Thank you, Mr. Assam.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Mr. Assam and Mr. Wakil, both of you from Egypt. As I normally say, we are, though during this time of COVID, I mean, we call it normal. It is not new normal. It is just abnormal. We are just trying to accommodate ourselves to the new normal. And
I would like to add one thing. India and Egypt, they have a long history together.
it is.
And I appreciate your invitation for this series again.
Yeah,
Thanks so
you.
much.
Thank you so much. And as I say, though we are, physically distant, but digitally we are connected. So learning never stops.
Sure.
And again, I'll say, we started from information technology. So thanks to IT.
Yes. I hope to continue this series, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good to
Thank
hear
you.
you.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you. Good to hear you.
Inshallah.
So anyone wants to say something, or we just sum it up now, because we have already taken much of your time, because time is very important for all of you. So if you permit, we'll sum up the session now finally. Anybody wants to say anything, or Mr. Wakil, shall we sum it up?
Just, I want to thank the participant again. I really enjoy this webinar. I hope this can be repeated again and again. Thanks for Alvin team, fantastic team, really fantastic team, well organized. I hope to have a deal with you for a long time. Thank you. Thank you for.
It will be our pleasure too. It was a very enriching session, presentation, the interaction, the kind of feel, the personal feel which we could develop in the last almost say 20-25 minutes. And while I thank everyone, a special thanks to Diksha for contributing few words, Sanjay Gore, Mr. Assam, and so many people writing through chats. So it's a contributing effort to make it a success. And thank you once again from Alvin Integrated Services. Look forward to see you. Thank you so much, everyone, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there is another session from Jaya Khanduri on 16th of December. I think she is there today also, but maybe she was not able to hear. I wanted her to say a few words, but then she was not there. I don't know if she is there still or not.